Isn't that interesting? Alhamdulillah, the war only lasted a little less than 4 years, maybe a little over 3.5 years. So from 1992 to 95. And after that, the accords took place, and that's when, and now Bosnia is what Bosnia, what's known today. Now the problem is, and we're not going to get into the political structure of Bosnia because it is complicated. And I say it's complicated not only, I mean, for me it's very complicated, but the Bosnians will tell you it's complicated. When you go there and you ask them about it, they'll tell you we have 3 presidents and we are 2 entities, and good luck understanding the situation. But it's complex, and actually not complex, it's complicated. And I want to highlight that because I believe this is done on purpose, right? So that to make it harder for that country to come back, it's gonna be leaving those struggles, those conflicts, those tensions to remain, and just make it harder for people to be able to truly recover. So just kind of want to touch a little bit on that historical timeline. Next, I really want to touch on the beauty of Bosnia. SubhanAllah, it's one of the most beautiful, beautiful places I've seen. It really is beautiful. The nature there is, mashallah, amazing. So these are the Yaitse waterfalls. Yeah, it's mashallah, it's beautiful. One of them actually here, I'm gonna play just to kind of hear the sound, just walking there, it's just relaxing. I don't think that's gonna work. Let me try one more time. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work. Okay, that one worked better. That actually was the water. So that area, it's beautiful when you go walk there. What's gonna happen is that you will get sprinkled. It's very refreshing. So if you're ever tired and you wanna kind of wake up and feel refreshed, it's a great place to kind of go and spend, you know, an hour or so there. Next slide. Okay. So some of the other beauty is we also went to a town called Cognac, and there runs this is the Neretva River. Neretva River. So I will butcher the names without a doubt. So forgive me for that. But you know, this is also one of the other beautiful places there. Very serene. You go, it's very calm. Right, you'll hear the water running very kind of softly, and it's just a quiet place, subhanAllah. And you know what's interesting is people kind of conform to that. They will become peaceful and quiet along with it. So it's a very enjoyable scenery. More water. So this is the interesting thing as you're walking anywhere in Bosnia. What you'll see is water running anywhere and everywhere. Like even the masajid there, the wudu water, the wudu places are centered outside of the masajid. But the water that's supplying the wudu area is coming from these rivers. It's like you'll see actually the river coming in, and that's where the water is coming from. Maybe that's not the case for all the masajid, but some of the masajid we've been to, you actually see that water, and it's very cold. So it will wake you up in preparation to pray. And as you see, mashallah, it's a mountainous area as well. So waterfalls everywhere, water, greenery. It's just beautiful all over the place. And you can't just do it justice with pictures. We really have to be there to really appreciate that experience. Yeah, subhanAllah, it's amazing. Okay. Oh, this is another amazing place. So these are water mills. They use them to actually make flour. So they use the water flow to actually mill the flour, the wheat and make flour. What I thought was fascinating about this, it's more than 450 years old. I mean, this is amazing. For wood to be able to serve like this kind of food. I don't know how they maintain it. I don't know if they do maintain it. But when I asked, like, how does that work? They're like, it's been there for 450 years. I don't think there's much maintenance that they do for it. I was told, of course, it's not operational 100% of the time, but during certain seasons they open it. So I think during like summer seasons where people are visiting and things like that, they'll actually operate it so that people can buy flour and whatnot. So War Mills, Lifsko Lake, I think. So butchering the names again, but and this picture is the what you see here. You see that bridge, and you see a couple of mosques that you actually can see behind it. But really, this area. So this is Mostar. It's another beautiful city in Bosnia. And I say another beautiful city. They're all beautiful, subhanAllah. There's not one I went to that was not beautiful. And this is also, by the way, the Neretva River. So it extends. I don't know exactly how far it extends, but it extends across a good chunk of Bosnia. So, and it connects the two parts that get separated by the river. It was built by Sultan Sulaiman ElAzzami, so in the 16th century. Of course, it got destroyed in the war in 1993, but it was rebuilt and reopened again in 2004. So, another beautiful, subhanAllah, just look at the background. It's really beautiful. One of the things that was interesting there when we went there, there was a guy that basically collects money on the bridge as a dare to jump off the bridge. And it's pretty high. And so they will pay him money so that he can jump. I don't have that video here, but he did jump in front of us. And one of the things that was interesting is I noticed how much he was struggling to actually get to the shore. The current is very, very strong. Okay, Bismillah. Let's talk about the mosques for a bit, because this is another amazing thing about Bosnia. It's mosques everywhere. As you're driving on the highway, like you look to your right, you look to your left, wherever there's homes, you'll see mosques. And it's not like, every few miles there's a mosque. It's like every kind of block of homes, you'll see a mosque. So I was curious, and I asked the tour guide there, who's sponsoring all these mosques? Right? And it was the community. It was purely community-driven. It takes care of the mosque entirely. He said that the government, the only stuff that they take care of with respect to mosques are the ones that are considered historic and touristic areas. So if it's for tourism reasons, they will just maintain the outside of it just for looks purposes. But the operations of the masjid, it's purely done by the community. And mashallah, there's a lot of them. And they are beautiful. Like, I did not see one masjid there without a minaret. All of them have, all the ones that at least I saw had minarets. And it's beautiful. The other thing I found interesting about Bosnian people is they build their own homes. Like everything about it. They don't have like contractors and things like that. They actually, they'll have different skill sets within a community, and they all help each other to build a home, which I thought was very refreshing, very beautiful as well. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so one of the probably most famous, I'm guessing it's the most famous mosque, is Gazi Huzrev Bey Mosque. So this was, so he was the governor of Bosnia at the time, right? This is in 1532. He was the governor before that. I don't remember the exact dates. But he built this mosque that is till today standing. So you're talking about a mosque that is roughly 500 years old. And subhanAllah, this mosque is self-sufficient. It actually generates more revenue than it needs to run its operations because it was built with an endowment all around it. So everything that you see, all the structure and the buildings around it, that's an endowment that's funding the mosque and funding other operations like the Islamic schools, Islamic studies. There are students there that are focused on Islamic sciences. So they spend their time studying Islamic sciences and worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the next door masjid. And I can't help but think, but this is somebody that did this sincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah accept from him. because from what I'm told, this is one of the few mosques that was never shut down at all. And till today, it remains operational. Till today, it remains, empowering and self-sufficient, right? It doesn't need anybody to fund it. And it was him also that funded the endowments as well. So subhanAllah, this is kind of strategic thinking. Look how far it's existed till today, subhanAllah. Okay. One other fun fact about this beautiful masjid is that till today, they still make the adhan on the minaret. There's no speakers. So I'm gonna play it here. I wasn't able to get the angle of where the guy was, but some of the other guys were able to. But subhanAllah, he was somewhere up there. And as you can see, there are no speakers. So, okay, more mosques. And again, it just blends very beautiful with the nature around there. It's very serene, mashallah. And some more mosques as well. So they really kind of maintain them very nicely, inside, outside, mashallah. It's very beautiful. And it's interesting, yani, there's differences in the styles. I mean, the style overall is pretty much the same. You feel the Ottoman touch in a lot of it. I assume that also there's a Bosnian touch over time, that it's more like a little bit of a Bosnian flavor mixed with the architecture. But subhanAllah, it's just beautiful. This is just one of the things you'll see common there is they have graves in the courtyards of the masajid. A lot of those you'll find are actually some of the shuhada, inshallah, that became shaheed during the genocide time period, during the Bosnian War. And this is one of the other beautiful things I felt about Bosnia as well. Everywhere you go, there is a reminder that a genocide took place. Everywhere you go, there is a reminder of the struggle. Sometimes you even feel it in the people themselves. Because sometimes you can tell that it's not over yet. Inshallah, I'll touch on that a little bit here in a bit. I took a few pictures. Thanks to my wife, she actually took a lot of these pictures. And some of the other members that were with us also took some beautiful pictures. But these are some of the pictures of the inside of the mosque. So mashallah, it's also just amazing. There's art everywhere with it.
Masjid, they call it. Can't remember the name.
These masajid are really old. A lot of them are like 400 or 500 years old, but they don't feel old. They just feel the authenticity in the building itself. Okay. So now the tough part, and honestly, subhanAllah, this trip was not an easy trip. I mean, there was fun aspects to it, but there was also the emotional part where it's really sad as well. So we talked a little bit about that. So here I'm going to ask you guys, what does this number mean? This number. What is this number? Can't hear you. Okay, and it was the independence. What else was it? The beginning of the war. And that was the beginning of another phase of the struggle. And that's shortly after that, in 1993, Sarajevo went under siege. Siege reminds us of Gaza. Honestly, when you're talking about Bosnia, you can't go far without drawing a parallel about Gaza. It's hard to not draw the parallel. You'll find a lot of parallels with it. And talking to the people there, the Bosniaks will tell you they felt abandoned by the Muslim Ummah at large, right? And it's sad, wallahi, it's heartbreaking to hear when they're telling you that people were getting murdered and violated and all this stuff happening, and then they're feeling abandoned. I mean, forget the hunger and all of that, right? Again, another parallel, we're talking about Gaza. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, idha laqitum fi'atan fathbutu wadhkuru Allah kathiran la'allakum tuflihun. It sounds, O believers, when you face an enemy, stand firm and remember Allah often so you may triumph. It's really hard to understand, how am I going to stand in front of things that I can't even, logically it's hard. But subhanAllah, this is where Aqidah, this is where your Iman comes into play. Because we believe the Quran is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes we don't understand how it makes sense, but we know it is the right thing to do. So the Bosnians responded to that and they persevered. And they took action when they realized that they are pretty much on their own. Now, to be fair, they were not entirely on their own, right? In the sense that they weren't like that people didn't care. But you would expect an ummah to be mobilized to protect them because we're one body, right? We're one ummah. Of course, that's not happening. Another parallel to Gaza, that's not happening. Allah musta'an. So, but the people cared. In fact, I was surprised to know that even American Muslims from America went to fight in the Bosnian War. And of course, we all know also other parts of the Muslim country as individuals, not as governments. I was told that also like there were some governments doing some work, but kind of like behind the scenes, just to support, which makes sense. But for the most part, it felt that they had to take care of themselves. They have to do this on their own. And subhanAllah, they call her the tunnel angel. This woman here in the red blackish sweater and the reddish hijab, you see her holding a water, like a bucket, whatever you call it, like a big flask or have you. And she is putting water to give to the soldiers that are coming from out of the tunnel. So she basically sacrificed her house and her safety to have them build a tunnel. Remember, Sarajevo was under siege. So she gave them her backyard to build a tunnel and to enable them to basically go from under that siege, right, to the other end. And her name is Sida Kular. And again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name. Another thing I want to point out here, look at this. This is her house on the left side. That's her house. See all those holes? That's shelling and bullets and all of that. And you will see that. That's common by that way. You'll see it in homes in Bosnia. And some of them are actually not repaired on purpose. Because remember what I told you, that reminders are everywhere. Because they were determined, this will never happen again. And if it's in your face as a memory, you're always going to remember that I'm not going to be complacent. I'm not going to become in an absent state where I'm just enjoying my life and going on, and then this could happen again. In fact, subhanAllah, 3 weeks before we went, tensions rose on the Serbian border with the Bosnians, and there were threats of another attack. It didn't happen, alhamdulillah, but tensions are still there, even though the peace is kind of there, but the tensions are still there. So they built the tunnel, and the tunnel basically, in 1993, it was built. It's 800 meters long, 1 meter width, and about 1.6 meters height, right? And it was used to transport supplies and also move injured people. And this is just to give you a look. So on this red cart is basically running on that rail where you see this person walking in the tunnel. So of course, this is not how the tunnel looked at the time. This is how they fixed it up so people can actually walk in it and get to experience a little bit of how people moved around. And of course, it's not the entire tunnel either. It's just a portion of the tunnel, right? So, but just to kind of give you a feel.
Obviously, we're in the, you know,
I doubt they had lights either in those tunnels at the time. So, but that's what they had to do to survive. And then oh, I forgot to mention, you probably saw it. That tunnel is called the Tunnel of Hope because it gave the Bosnian people hope that they're able to break the siege and be able to survive and get supplies and be able to live, right? Again, that's a similar parallel as well, but alhamdulillah, at least in this case, in a good context. Okay, meet Harun. Harun is a very interesting character, mashallah. So he was, I think, about 20 years old when the war happened or something like that, and became a soldier to defend his deen and his country. He's a father, and he showed us a picture of his daughter, who was, a grown woman at this point, with a rifle. And then he said, during the war, women from the age of 8 to 80 were violated in one way or another. I mean, just think about that just for a second, subhanAllah. And he explained why his daughter was holding a rifle. He said, this will never happen again. It will never happen again. Inshallah, it will never happen again. He's also an imam, mashallah, and he's very compassionate. SubhanAllah, it's one of those people where you feel the honor to actually shake their hand and hug them. A person whose hands were spent time and energy defending the deen, defending their country, defending their people. So Bosnians held their ground. And what's this date? Oh, I gave it away. I said date. What's this number? Say again? End of the war. December 1995, that's when the war ended. I'm not going to get into the details of how it ended and all of that, but what's worth noting is when they held their ground, they were actually able to push the enemy and force them. The Bosnians actually wanted to go all the way, but they were forced not to. SubhanAllah, it could have been a different story now. But when they persevered, when they followed the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hold their ground, they were able to become triumphant as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised. So sometimes you don't understand how you're going to do something, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you this is what you got to do, and you got to trust. Do and trust. The outcome is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We sometimes just have to do what we have to do. Now, after the triumph is a recovery time and dealing with, the emotional aspects that we talked about. Remember, I asked the tour guide there, who was also an imam, by the way. MashaAllah, a lot of them are actually knowledgeable in the deen. I asked him, is there a family that is not impacted by the war? He said, there's not a single family that did not lose an immediate family member or a relative. Not a single Bosnian family, and that's crazy. The estimated deaths are about 100,000. That includes all Bosnians. Again, I'm not putting it here. Those are rough numbers, and I couldn't really get the facts like for 100%. But talking from some of the historians there in Bosnia, they estimated that a little over 50,000 were the Bosniaks, and then the others were other members, right, from the Serbs and Croats. So there's a lot of healing that needs to happen. And so again, remember I talked about they have these reminders and memorials everywhere. And they call this the rose because it looks like a rose. If you actually look at it, the center is like kind of the center of that rose, and then you have the little wreaths all around. And these roses were places that were confirmed where a bomb fell and killed someone. And you will find those throughout the city. So this particular one was in Sarajevo, but you'll find them in throughout the city. And this is what I mean, that subhanAllah, they are determined to never forget. What's this number? What does it signify? He said July 1995, which is right. What does it signify? Srebrenica, yes. This is when the genocide happened. I mean, we say this is when the genocide happened, but the genocide's been happening for the 3 years, right? Because the intent was to do the genocide over that time. But this is when a lot of people were killed. What's this number? Shuhada, that's the number of the Shuhada in Srebrenica in a matter of a few days. 8,372. That's what was logged. That's what people were aware of. Allahu A'lam what they're not aware of. This is in a museum in Srebrenica, right across from the cemetery. These are the shoes of the people that they found, basically people that did not survive, right? And it's just, seeing it, subhanAllah, it's, you'll actually even see some smaller shoes, right, in there. And this is where it gets kind of really crazy. I mean, the whole thing is crazy, but when you're seeing it and you're just imagining these people trying to run or do what they have to do, the betrayal that happened, subhanAllah, on many levels to the Bosnian people is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for us as Muslims and even on the humanitarian level. And this stone here has a list of the cities and the number again. I don't know exactly what the cities here mean, but if I were to guess, I would say it's probably the cities where the 8,372 people were from originally. Wallahu a'lam. Now look at this. That is the cemetery for those shuhada. The concrete-ish like looking thing, it's got the names of all 8,372 on there. And then the white stones that you see in the back, that's obviously the headstone for all those brothers and sisters. SubhanAllah. And it's crazy as we're walking through it. Do you notice something here? What do you notice about this picture? That just kind of seems a bit different or off. I can't hear you. There's a different headstone. Why? SubhanAllah, look at this. This is a fresh grave. They're still finding bodies from all around Bosnia. Sometimes different parts of bodies, and they collect them together, and then they finally bury the body. This is a grave that was, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks old or something like that. It doesn't even have the right headstone yet because it's not prepared for it. So that's just a placeholder. Eventually, it's going to get one of those other white ones. But they're still, 30 years later, still healing. They're still struggling with this. Think about Gaza also. One day we're going to have something like that in Gaza. Allahu A'lam. But we know that we have a lot of shuhada in Gaza as well. SubhanAllah, despite all of that, people are ready for peace. They don't want war. And you'll see graffiti everywhere in Bosnia as well. This one here says, "Make peace, not war." And it's done in the colors of the flag, right? They want to be one people, people خلاص يعني at some point they want to grow, they want to spend their time and energy actually developing their country, developing their future, instead of just being stuck in the past and the hatred and all that. I told you that you can't do Bosnia without a Gaza parallel and really a Palestine parallel. So these are all pictures from streets in Bosnia, right? You'll see it everywhere. And there's just a snippet of it. Free Gaza, free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine, the Kufi, whatnot, Palestinian map, the original Palestinian land. It's everywhere, subhanAllah. Again, some more. In the shops, on the streets. Because they relate. That's why. They relate. They understand what the Palestinian people are going through. They understand what the Palestinian people are going through. They understand what the Palestinian people, inshallah, once Palestine is liberated, which inshallah all of us will witness soon, bi'idhnillah. I want you to believe that. I want you to believe that you, inshallah, will pray in Masjid al-Aqsa, liberated. It will happen in our lifetime, inshallah. We have to believe it. We have to be part of it too. Both countries have something in common, fighting genocide. I mean, you can argue that Bosnia is still fighting that. Now it's not militarily, but they're fighting its prevention, right? Remember what I said, how the political structure was set up? It's not set up to grow. It's set up to stay in conflict, I believe, similar to what's happening in Palestine. So why us? Why Bosnia? Why Palestine? Why? I mean, look, Bosnia, a Muslim majority in Europe. It just sounds off. But the vast majority of them are actually ethnically European. So it's not like they are immigrants or anything like that. Those are people that decided to become Muslim. And they stuck to their faith because they believed in it. There was value in it to them. They believe it's the truth. It's really simple, I think. If you just look at the damaged, destroyed mosques, and those are just two examples. One in Bosnia on the left side, and the other is in Gaza. The far right was a mosque in Gaza, and now it's destroyed. When you're targeting the masajid, they're telling you they're trying to destroy your Muslim identity. SubhanAllah, that did nothing but made them stronger in their resolve to defend Islam, their Islamic identity. And that's true for both countries. I think it's true for any Muslim, really. But Palestine and Bosnia, had to deal with it firsthand. Of course, other places. I mean, Syria wasn't spared from that. Syria also had its own share of fighting and killing and injustice. Alhamdulillah, now it's liberated because also the Syrians and others, not only the Syrians, decided to stand up and take their country back, fight for their deen. Alhamdulillah. But was it all bad? Let's be honest. And this is, Bosnians will tell you, when I ask, they'll tell you that at the time this happened, people were actually going away from their religion. It was becoming more of like a cultural thing than actual a practiced faith. So was it all bad? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes will give you a tribulation to wake you up, to bring you back, to get you closer, to remember what the purpose of your existence here is. I think this revived their aqidah, their faith. It drew them closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It draws us closer. I mean, again, drawing the parallel to Gaza. If you think about it, even us, we're not in Gaza. Think about the people in Gaza. I believe it did draw them closer. I believe it made them better believers, stronger believers. Alhamdulillah. But I think it also made us stronger believers. Yes, we had times of despair and where we were suffering. But subhanAllah, it made us, I believe, stronger believers. Because we realize, maybe we realize, first of all, that we were too busy with the nonsense, going after this world. So it brought you back. This revival of the Aqidah of the Bosnian people helped them preserve Islam in Bosnia. Think about if they did not succeed, if they did not hold on to their Aqidah, what would have happened? It's easy to say, you know what, this Islam thing isn't worth it. Life is more precious. Khalas, Islam goes away. They could become Christians again or agnostic or what have you, whatever they become, and live probably not a good life, but decide to play it safe. But Islam would not be there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose them to honor Islam in that part of the world. So it really is an honor. And alhamdulillah, they were up to the task. May Allah bless Bosnian people and Muslims all over. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اسْتَجِيبُوا لِلَّهِ وَلِلرَّسُولِ إِذَا دَعَاكُمْ لِمَا يُحْيِيكُمْ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَحُولُ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَقَلْبِهِ وَأَنَّهُ إِلَيْهِ تُحْشَرُونَ. O believers, respond to Allah and His Messenger when He calls you to that which gives you life. And know that Allah stands between a person and their heart, and that to Him you will all be gathered. SubhanAllah, so all this was to bring them back to life, bring us back to life? Maybe. Inshallah. Inshallah, we come back stronger from all of this. They will never forget. I said they leave their minds of everywhere. It's done on purpose. It's by design. SubhanAllah, I came across this in Cognac, and it's amazing. I couldn't help but ask, what is this? How come this is not fixed yet? This is not fixed on purpose. You see there's a minaret that's broken. It was shelled by the Serbs, according to the story I was told by one of the Bosnians there. And then next to it is a church. They're not far from each other. This was targeted. Your Muslim identity was targeted. So they left it there so that people remember that you're paying a price for being a Muslim. So don't let your guard down. That's why Harun's daughter was doing what she was doing. That's why he taught her to do that. SubhanAllah. So in the interest of time, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to ask Brother Asim to join me. Brother Asim, he's from Bosnia. He actually lived part of the war, and he, inshallah, will share with us some stories. We have a few minutes, so I'll, here, you take the seat. You take the seat. Bismillah. And let me give you this.
I wasn't prepared for this, but okay. Assalamu alaikum.
All right, so Brother Asim, do you want to just kind of tell us, maybe share your experience as a child growing up in Bosnia, and then what happened, and just whatever you want to share from that part of the experience.
Sure. First, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. Bassem he did an amazing job explaining the war, the genocide, described our country as beautiful as it is. My name is Asim. I've recently moved to Austin area about 1.5 years ago. It's my wife over there, Valida. We have 3 children. And thank you again for the opportunity to speak. So I didn't prepare a slideshow or anything like that, but I would love to just share a little bit about our side of the story and how we lived through what we lived back in the 90s, what we call it. So it's probably going to not go in the right order, but just kind of want to touch base on a few things. So I was born in Bosnia back in '85. As a child, grew up there. When the war started back in 1992, of course, I remember this stuff. I was 7 years old, so stuff like that doesn't just disappear from your mind. I remember the jets flying over our house, and that was actually the start of the war. I didn't even know. Me and my family, meaning my mom and my sister, we actually were lucky enough to escape a couple of months into the war, into Croatia and then to Slovenia, which is a couple of countries over, into a refugee camp. My dad stayed in the army there from day one through before we moved to the United States. So he was a paramedic in the war, as he was in medical field before that. So he worked in a hospital. So naturally, it just became to him. He said he's going to have to stay, and myself and my sister and my mom, we were lucky enough to escape for a little bit. We did come back about a year and a half after that while the war was still going on, and so we got to experience the war firsthand. And one thing that I can say as a child being there is we always knew about the Gaza and what was happening, but recently, a couple of years ago, when this was all brought up to my attention, when everything, kind of started up again, a lot of pictures went through my head, and what we actually lived through that was so similar, and that we just sympathized with everybody who was from Palestine, and we said, oh my God, this is parallel, as you said. This is so parallel. This is so comparable that the words can't really describe how you feel when you're in the middle of that. So we can only pray for people and our brothers and sisters over there that this ends soon and everybody is as safe as they can be, right? My wife, just going to touch base here for her. She was actually, her and her family, her dad also, my father-in-law, he stayed as a soldier there as well. Her mom, and her brother at that time, they were in the war the whole time. My wife was actually wounded towards the end of the war. It was November of 1995. It was a month before the Dayton, which they said the peace signing agreement was signed. She was actually wounded from a plane that shot her and several other children deceased at that time. So that she's here and standing and able to have a normal life after all that, it's God's plan. I could not be more thankful for that. History-wise, I think you did a great job explaining when Bosnia gained independence. I studied all this stuff at school, but to me it wasn't really a display to say, oh, I got to remember this, I have to remember that. It was more, I knew always where I came from, and I knew I always wanted to go back where I'm from. Now, looking at some of these pictures and stuff, it always brings just memories. It brings the feeling that it's hard to describe unless you are from there. So I would imagine somebody who is from Palestine, somebody who is from any other country that lives in the United States they can understand that a lot more than somebody who was born and raised here, right? But it's our job to say, hey, welcome to our country, welcome to Bosnia, come on in, we're going to welcome you. And one thing that I'm going to say about my people, they are welcoming. No matter who you are, where you come from, you're always welcome there. And when I go back home, we were just there last summer, I still feel I never left. The feeling that I get inside of me is just completely different. My wife says you're a different human when you're over there. So it's just something in there that stays. it never leaves you, right? When you're from a place like that. To touch back on the war, my dad and me have talked several times about his experiences. He's very reserved of how much he wants to share because it was so traumatic for a lot of people who were there. So many children lost their lives, so many innocent people, and the history. If you, as you said, if you're driving down Bosnia, any road, you just look to the right, to the left, you're gonna know something happened here, and people remember, and people will always remember, and that's kind of who we are as Bosnians. We're going to persevere. We're going to stay there. And one thing that was brought up to my attention by you, really, that night we had dinner, and it was really got me thinking a lot when I asked you what was your opinion. Did you feel like it was more of a secular country, was more of an inviting country, was more of a Muslim? You kind of led me in that direction. You said, felt very welcomed, and we felt like that the faith, Islam, came back to Bosnia with this war. And I truly, being older now, I understand and I see that a lot more than I did as a kid. So I truly believe that now when it's Eid time, when it's anything like that, when you turn on the Bosnian television, and we can watch that here, of course, with technology, you can see everything on national television, from the Haji Hučebegove mosques to Eid prayers. It's all televised, and it's a lot more than I remember it as a kid before the war. So I believe that something good came out of it. And it made us stronger. And yes, we are in the middle of Europe, and we are a Muslim country, and we're going to stay there. And inshallah, Palestine will be free as well. I'm okay if you guys have absolutely any questions. I didn't want to go too much into details on me, but yeah.
And remember, inshallah, question, not a khutbah. The next person will do that, right? Not you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jazakumullah kulli khair. The question that I have is that I remember praying a Jum'ah in Egypt in 92 or 93. And the Imam was talking about the genocide in Bosnia. And he was asking actually for jihad from Egyptians that they are willing to go and fight. I don't know if you remember anything about like anybody from the Islamic world in general, not just from Egypt, that joined that fight. Thank you. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you for the question. So me as a kid, I do remember seeing a lot of different army members with different flags. Now at that time, I can't say that I remember that I saw Egypt, but I did see many, many different flags, because everybody really had the same uniform, so that was the only way it would now. We would wave to the soldiers as they would, go in the army vehicles, but I'm pretty sure that there was plenty of people from Egypt and many, many other countries.
Assalamu alaikum. This is for Brother Bassem. Brother Bassem, if we want to visit Bosnia, what do you suggest? Does the Americans, the US citizens need visa? Or can we just buy a ticket and go, or do we need a...
Yeah, you don't need a visa as an American citizen. You can just buy a ticket and go if you want. So I think this is more of a personal choice on how to do it. Personally, I found more benefit in going with a group and a tour guide and things of that sort. But somebody else might feel differently about it. So if you've never been there and you have a family, I would say go with a group. Yeah. Are there any questions on the sister side? No. Any other questions, brothers? Let's.
So as of right now, oh, okay, sorry. So he asked, how is the peace treaty holding up right now? Was that the question? So as of right now, Bosnia is in what they would say total peace. There are political tensions there. I'm not a politician by any means, but I know enough to understand that the political system is made to keep the tensions there, right? It's made for Bosnia 30 years after the war not to be this amazing country. It's got all these kind of different, from minerals to industry of any kind that you can think of, but it's made specifically with 3 governments in place, 3 presidents, that it holds a gridlock, is what we call. For regular people coming and visiting, it's completely safe, I would say. For people living there as well, it's safe. Now, there was just a few months ago, there was tensions. This was on the Serb side, of course. Again, politics involving the politicians that were there before the war, that stirred up the war, during the war, they're the ones still stirring up that stuff. But I would say generally it's safe to visit. Yeah, you don't need a visa as well. We visit pretty much every year. So we take our kids with us as well. So.
Jazakumullah khair, Brother Hassan, for coming. It's a pleasure to hear from a Bosnian. And Jazakumullah khair all for attending. I'm going to play this video real quick. It's a minute only. Otherwise, I might get in trouble.
وبقيت عزيزا وبقيت عزيزا وبقيت عزيزا كالعلم تاريخك شمس تاريخك شمس تاريخك شمس تتجلى بل أنت حياة بل أنت حياة بل أنت حياة للأمم فدعوني أملي فدعوني أملي فدعوني أملي أبياتي في وجه النور في وجه النور في وجه النور المبتسم خذ ماء العين خذ ماء العين خذ ماء العين لها حبرا.
جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.